Well, a pleasant good afternoon, and welcome to our new live at 5, edition of Cloud.Nine. Happy New Year to everyone. It's wonderful being back with you again, and God's blessing to you and your household, your family, your loved ones, everyone. This is Cloud.Nine live at 5. It's going to be a really, really interesting 2018 and beyond. As you saw in the promo, we're going to lift off from today. We have a lot of issues I want to bring to your attention that's been happening in the news. So there are some aspects of Cloud.Nine that would shift a bit, as you would have remembered it last year when we were, of course, at the midday time slot, and now we are at 5 p.m. And this time, of course, very familiar to me. It's like being back home in terms of you, the viewers. Many have been asking me over the past year, what's happening, when you're going to shift, what? Well, let's say, I'm here and I'm ready. And I hope you are, because trust me, it's going to get very interesting. So only for today, I'm actually going to toss to this segment because it's a new one. But for those who would have remembered the days of the wind, they would know that this was a very familiar part of the show, this being the news segment. So from tomorrow, God's willing, we're going to go straight into the news segment, right? From tomorrow, God's willing. Now, that news segment will be entitled 5 at 5, right? Why the 5 at 5? Basically, it means 5 at 5, the top 5 stories. So every day at 5 o'clock as the show begins, we're going to get it 5 at 5, the top 5 stories that's happening both in Trinidad and Tobago and internationally. So we're looking at 4 local stories and 1 international, and then we go from there into contents of the rest of the show, right? So we have several topics. One of them, we're going to take a short break, but just before I go, 2 major topics today. One of them has been all over social media, the massive ghost sign controversy. Yes, the song Rowley, that, right? And the issue surrounding flooding. There's a particular comments rather, that have been made by several people on social media. And one of them I extracted, and I want to bring it to your attention. It is one of the views that some people don't really agree with, but it's something I think needs to be discussed. And today we'll be taking your calls as well at 652-4855 to get your views on these 2 topics in particular. If there's something else on your mind, then not a problem. So let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to come back with our news 5 at 5.
This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever.
And welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACT and The Voice. We go straight now to our 5 at 5 news report. Now, the dust has not settled from the fireworks, and we have already recorded our 7th murder for the year. On a bloody day 1, we recorded the first 5. Now, on day 2, we have recorded the 6th and 7th murder. 2 murders in 2 separate incidents are engaging the attention of the police. In the first, shortly after 8 a.m., a relative of Arissa David proceeded to her home at Limehead Road, Chase Village, where upon entering, the woman's lifeless body was discovered lying on the floor. She has 2 children, 3 and 5 years old. The woman's body bore marks of violence. And in the next incident at Savory Road, Chinchin, Las Lomas, the body of a man was discovered. Preliminary reports suggest that the man's throat may have been slit. The victim is yet to be identified. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has invited opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar and a team to meet with him and a team on Friday. A statement issued by the Office of the Prime Minister and signed by Minister Stuart Young confirms that the invitation was sent via email on Tuesday morning. It read as follows. I have sent you an email this morning inviting you and a small opposition team to meet with the Honorable Prime Minister and a small government team on Friday, January 5th, 2018 at 10 a.m. at the Diplomatic Center, St. Anne's, end quote. It adds, I also called you to extend the invitation and to ask that should you have any names you would like us to consider, that you provide the names as soon as possible in advance of Friday's meeting so that we may consider same. The letter does not state what the meeting will discuss. However, sources state that one of the topics on the agenda is the selection of this country's next president. The opposition leader has not yet publicly confirmed her attendance to the meeting. In some other news at this time, a male flight attendant employed with Caribbean Airlines Limited and a woman were arrested and a pistol and a quantity of ammunition seized by officers of the Eastern Division Task Force during an anti-crime exercise in Sandy Grande over the weekend. Officers conducted the exercise around 8 p.m. on Sunday, 31st December, during which they had cause to search a black Audi A4 motor vehicle, which was parked with 2 occupants opposite the Sandy Grande police station. The search resulted in 1 Beretta pistol and 10 rounds of ammunition being found on the back seat of the vehicle. The occupants of the vehicle, a 31-year-old man of Boudou Highway, Sandy Grande, and a 37-year-old woman of Malabar Extension, Malabar, were arrested in connection with the find. In other news, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, the ODPM, stated that they remain in contact with all first responder agencies to assist with recovery efforts if called upon as a result of the inclement weather experienced over the weekend. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service published Flood Bulletin Number 6 and Rough Seas Bulletin Number 6 yesterday, and they're advising the public that the Riverine Flood Alert and Rough Seas Bulletins are still in effect until further amended. They have also indicated that sea conditions in open waters around Trinidad and Tobago continue to be moderate to rough, with wave heights expected to reach up to 2.5 meters and occasionally 3 meters, while wave heights will slowly decrease. Spring tides are in effect, and sea conditions will continue to be disturbed and exacerbated during high tide. Small craft operators, sea bathers, and other marine interests are advised to exercise extra caution in any sea-related activities. The Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government has reported to the ODPM that they remain in full control of the situation and recovery works will continue throughout the day. Meanwhile, the following roadways are currently impassable. Please take note. The North Coast Road, Trinidad, remains closed to the general public. However, the roadway will be open to residents of the area. The chief engineer of the San Juan Laventil Corporation has confirmed that 4 excavators are currently on the site clearing the landslides. The Cedar Grove area, Mayaro, Trinidad, continues to be affected by flood waters. making some roadways impassable to most vehicles. Floodwaters have subsided in most previously affected areas. However, vulnerable citizens and the general public are advised to still ensure they follow these safety tips. 1. Do not walk or drive through floodwaters. Be cautious when walking, driving along hillsides or landslide-prone areas. Pay attention to regular updates on all media for any changes in the weather conditions. Be prepared and maintain your family emergency kit. Contact your respective disaster management unit if impacted and in need of assistance. For further information, you can call the ODPM Customer Call Center at 511 and TIMA at the hotline 211. And in international news at this time, Iran's supreme leader has accused the country's enemies of stirring days of protest that have claimed at least 22 lives. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was speaking for the first time since people protesting at Iran's economic troubles clashed with security forces last Thursday. 9 people, including a child, died overnight in violence in central Iran. The protests are still the largest since the disputed 2009 presidential election. They began last Thursday in the city of Mashhad, initially against price rises and corruption, but have since spread amid wider anti-government sentiments. And that brings us to the end of our News 5 at 5, top stories at 5 right here on Cloud.Nine. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we have lots more for you. Stay tuned.
This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever.
And welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACTN The Voice. We are live at 5 p.m. It's good being back in the afternoon period. Of course, can't wait to engage with you, via our call-in segment later on in the program to get your views on what's happening in our country today. Now, 2 things I want to just bring to your attention before we open the lines. One of them is this issue surrounding Massive Go Science song. So without further ado, let's go to our Let's Chat segment at this time. Okay, so nothing new to Trinidad and Tobago. The whole issue of play on words, double entendre as they call it. But this one has really struck a nerve with many people. But as I was saying to someone, it's bigger than it's more massive than massive. Pun deliberate, right? It's more massive than massive song. And I think once we get beyond a certain level of ignorance to understand that it is bigger than him and the issue is bigger than the song that he wrote, then we'll understand what's happening here. So without further ado, let's go to our face-to-face segment where we met with a few individuals in the Marbella area, and I really loved some of the responses. The last one in particular, win. Give it that. So let's go to our face-to-face segment. Hear for yourself. Welcome to Cloud.Nine. We are live at 5, and today we are addressing the question of the controversy surrounding Massive Go Sign's song, you know, Rowley. Good. So the question we're asking today, are we reaping what we've sowed, or is it just dust in the wind? Well, you tell me, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think he went a bit too far. I mean, we too advanced now to hear these kind of songs, you know what I mean? Yeah, that ain't good. That ain't good at all.
That more resultant to racism. Yeah, because if you check it out, it's like it's a prime minister, he have no respect. Rowdy, mother, cunt, right? Disrespectful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you. All the best in here. All right.
Mr. Massive Go Sign is a very racial man. All right? He is citing race amongst two of the major races in this country. And I'm glad you interviewed me today because he is a very racial man. He is not studying anything but cursing the Prime Minister, who is the second highest office in this country. That's all he is doing.
I find they could ban it because that sound don't make any sense. And it is out of place. Ban it. Yes.
I didn't really read anything, but I just hear him talk, so I didn't kind of just dismiss it as a bit. I mean, other parties also have a thing. Certain songs they didn't condemn, and they want to condemn them, so it doesn't make sense. So to me, I feel...
So things if they condemn one, condemn all.
Yeah, if you condemn one, condemn all. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
But I just say do so, I like so because they started it long time ago, and you see what happening here now? It come the same way like long before. What the government is to operate and what happening is everything come the same.
So therefore it happened in the past, so therefore don't be surprised now.
No, the same. You understand what I say? They come like you have a little child, you break him, you break him properly, we're going to go up the same way.
Wow.
Yeah, you see? So if they stop that from the beginning, this never happened today.
As a Christian, that is a total disrespect. No matter what somebody is doing, if they're wrong, and we need to talk about it. And let me as you give me here, let me make a statement straight across the board. From the government, go right back to the opposition. From the commissioner of police to the head of the license office. If they're wrong, they're wrong. We need to say it. Let me go back to the Bible days. God tell Elijah to talk to Jezebel and to talk to Ahab. Thus saith the Lord. But we're afraid. Right? And let me take this one a little bit. Sure. In 2015, Ansel Roger told the Honorable Prime Minister then, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, when they were doing negotiation, Kamala, take the 5% and push it where the sun don't shine, right? Where the preachers today talking about the wrong of the country. How he could disrespect that woman as the Prime Minister and nothing was said. He don't have a mother, he don't have a wife, he don't have a sister or a daughter. I could have a look at them men and say them men is people in society.
So what I've been saying, we're reaping what we're sowing, basically.
Yes, Sheldon, as a Christian, you know that too.
Yeah, definitely.
You understand? We need to say it because let me tell you something. God is going to hold we, the Christians, accountable first before he take those who doing it wrong. We're supposed to say it. If we stand by, according to our preacher, he say, we understand that there's evil among us, but there's even worse when we sit by and do nothing about it. You understand? In the book of 2 Samuel, it had 4 lepers was waiting to die. And you know what they say? Why stay we here and die? Let me get up and let me do something. And they save Israel. But we feel we can't say something.
I know throughout the Bible, you know about God saving a remnant.
Yes.
And like nobody wants to be part of the remnant anymore.
Exactly, Sheldon. You understand? So we need to look, let me do some introspection. According to the Bible again, I like to quote the Bible. Before we take the dust out of our brother's eye, let me take out the piece of lamp pole from our eye. And we're going to make a difference. Right? JFK says, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Let me do something and replace that man. Let me make a difference in society. And in so doing, Trinidad and Tobago would become sweet TNT.
My brother, I couldn't pick a better interview to end the segment of Face to Face this afternoon. Thank you very much. God bless you, man. I just don't have the cup, but sips tea. If I had a cup, you'd have heady noise. Love that interview. And I agree with everything that he said. And I want, later on to hear your views. I'm going to give my little synopsis on it in just a short while. Trust me. Right? Because I said there's a bigger issue that people do not want to face. And stop making this about, Mr. Gosign's song and all of that. And when I give my views, I want to hear your views. And it's going to get interesting. As my daughter loves to say, when something is quite alarming, Papa Laps, I have no idea what that means. But yeah, it's going to get very interesting. So our next topic today, I want to touch on before we go back to, counting vegetables. Sure. Right? The issue of flooding. And I want to just get that picture up quickly. This is a compilation of some articles that someone placed on social media in relation to the flooding that took place recently. As you know, it would have been around Boxing Day or the 27th thereabout, where we had non-stop rain from then probably until Sunday gone, being old years. And this was the statement. I will just leave out one word out of it because I might get, run off the air. So it goes like this. And hear me, before we get all emotive in our responses, I want us to pay attention carefully to what is being said here. Now, this person may have a political agenda, but there are some serious statements being made that we need to think about. And I say we because we all have a part to play. And over the pictures was the statement. And the flooding continues, not because of the constant rain, but because of the indiscriminate dumping of garbage into watercourses and rivers, and the do-it-yourself civil engineer wannabes who believe that digging a trench, not a drain, that leads to nowhere but overflows, also riverbed and floodplain squatters whose only function is to make existence difficult for others and get relief funding from governments that are so raked with political correctness, spinelessness, and tribalism that they prefer to give our tax dollars away to those than lose a vote that they never had. It will continue with no end in sight. Strong words. Some of it I would not adhere to quite personally, but there are some aspects of it which I've addressed in the past: the discriminate dumping, and the doing your own water courses, etc., etc. And these things have led to these problems. My thing is, are we mature enough to admit to ourselves that we as a people play an equal part in the flooding that takes place in TNT, and not just quick to blame whoever it may be in power at the time for the flooding? And I think once we get to that place of maturity, then, well, yeah, maybe we'll get somewhere. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll take your calls, and also I'll give you my view on this issue with Mr. Massive Gosine. Take your calls at 652-4855. We'll be right back.
Hi, Hi, I'm Reverend Valerie Ramkalawan from the Christ Approved Revival Tabernacle. You can tune on every first and last Wednesday of the month on ACT and The Voice. And I'm there 10:30 p.m. 15 minutes, you can tune on and you can be filled with the word of the Lord. Come on and be a part of this station in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9.
Welcome to the new season of Football 101. I am your host, Joshua Matos.
Well, it's time for your weekly football news update. I love you, Messi.
Unfortunately, kiss the badge, kiss the badge. Oh, what's that?
Welcome to this edition of The Interview, and as you can see, I'm not alone on the set. I have Marcus, a Liverpool fan, and I have Shakir.
All right, and welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACT and The Voice. We're going to deal with the first question. I want to give you my views, and I'd like to hear from you. What are your views on the song? 652-4855. Now, there have been several comments that have been made on social media surrounding Massive Go Science song. And I want to take it from this perspective. I want people to understand, because I've seen a lot of emotional comments on social media about it, but I like the last two responses in particular. And the guy spoke, the one in the market, that was inside the market. He made a statement that if as a child you don't bend the child from young, it's going to be an issue when they get older. Now, this issue that we're having with certain, derogatory statements being made about politicians in Calypso or any aspect of the art form, whether they be chutney soca, etc., is nothing new. The problem is, when it should have been dealt with, how many years ago it wasn't dealt with then? So now that you're trying to stop it because it's getting worse, everybody has something to say. What we've sowed over the years is something called silence. And because we've sowed silence in not dealing with these issues, and we've sowed this silence by allowing certain filth to enter into our homes, to enter into our schools, to enter into our parliament chamber, to enter into every aspect of our country. Because we've sowed silence and allowed poison into our soil, that is what we're reaping. So if when you reap and you eat, what is going to come out of your mouth? If that is what we're sowing in the soil. And that is the problem. It goes way beyond what the song itself. It speaks of a bigger issue of where we are as a people and where our mind is at. And if this, and as the last person we interviewed said, if we had dealt with this from early on, over the years, then therefore it wouldn't have reached this. So the issue is not the whole play on words, or that's not the issue, because all that is part, that's why we entitled it Tactful or Tacky. Because these things can be done very tactful, very crafty, without getting, how should I say, blunt nasty. And that is what we see happening. And it's beyond him. We're making him the target. We're making him the scapegoat, but it's a bigger issue of who we are as a people. And until we get up and we make a statement that, okay, that these things across the board, and that's why when the last person we interviewed mentioned about what happened with Ansel Roger and the then Prime Minister, and I remember that statement very, and I also didn't like it either, when he said, put it where the sun don't shine. at the end of the day, when we see this as okay for one but not for the other, then we open up ourselves to this kind of licks that we've been getting on, or seeing rather, on social media. And until we get to that place and admit that, then therefore it's just going to continue. And I want people to understand that. So it's not a matter of taking sides. So I was grateful when the last person, because I was kind of waiting, and he made reference to Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. And in case we forgot, we have songs, I think was with Omar and Big Account. We had the other one, Basdeo Pandey with Ato. Won't see the rest. Use my words carefully. Of course, we had several from Crew over the years. We had several from Sugar Aloes. We had several, and the list goes on and on. So what's going to happen? It is a societal problem, and that is what we're seeing here. And I want people to really understand that, right? It is a societal problem, and maybe it's a good thing. This is out of evil cometh good. So maybe it's a good thing what has transpired out of the song, because we are realizing that as a country, our soil has become poisoned by our silence, and it also has become poisoned by the things that we are saying as well. We're saying the wrong things. So instead of putting fertilizer in the soil, we actually flooding the soil with our negativity and our filth and our anger and our bitterness and our racism and everything else that we've been seeing spewing on social media over the past few years. I would even go as far to say past few decades, right? And that's just, my opinion on it. And it is based on what I have been seeing. And until we get to a place whereby we ask God for true guidance in terms of how we think, in terms of guidance, how we run our homes and our communities, then these kind of things will always seem as normal until it matches our corn. Until it comes in our backyard, or it becomes personal, then it becomes an issue, right? Now, I want to go to the issue concerning the flooding, right? And that's something I want to just bring to your attention quickly. We covered several areas with flooding already. The recent would have been in the Woodland area. And I, for one, have seen many homes, people who are real victims of flooding in Trinidad and Tobago. No doubt about it, right? They would have done all the right things. They're not squatting. They're not digging any sort of makeshift drain. They're not dumping garbage. As a matter of fact, one of the areas that we went in the Woodland area, a lot of the garbage that was dumped there from our investigation would have been from people from outside the area dumping in the Woodland area and causing flooding. However, we also have to be honest with ourselves that a lot of the dumping that we're seeing, it is contributing to it. We also have to be honest ourselves based on this statement, as much as it may have been a bit crass. There are some aspects that's very true, right? There are those who are trying to dig their own water courses. There are those who, and I'm using my words very carefully, there are those who choose to squat, in terms of they choose whereby there may be other avenues, but they choose to for various reasons. And there are others who sometimes don't really have a choice based on several circumstances. And those who choose to, sometimes they don't put proper things in place, and we see it all the time. So when are we going to be honest with ourselves and admit, okay, as much as we have a situation whereby proper infrastructure is not being put in place in some areas, and I was sorry because we see it every day on social media, indiscriminate dumping all over the place. I mean, there was one particular video I saw, this was last year, husband and wife, it would seem, they were dumping a fridge over a wall somewhere in East Trinidad. And the person who was taking out the actual footage, they get some level cuss from the woman in particular, which was kind of disturbing, right? She cussed out the man, and they're dumping a fridge and then some other appliance into a river. And these are the same individuals who will go before the media. If something were to happen to them in the context of flooding, they will go before the media and they will complain that, the government not assisting, or they want to get this and they want to get that because they get flooded out. And some of the same individuals would have contributed to the same flooding by dumping garbage, like what happened with that refrigerator and whatever else I saw that they threw over the wall. Again, until we come to a place of maturity, right? And we understand that we also have a part to play, and we also have to be responsible as well for what's happening in our country, then we just spin and top in mud. And it goes back to the same thing with Massive Sign song. Until we take some level of responsibility that what happened, that the content of that song, it just speaks of what is in the hearts of many people. That is what it speaks of where we are and how we think and how we feel. It is beyond the art form, because again, that aspect, and that's very true, that is part of the art form. But we're getting more over the decades because it has not been dealt with as it should have been. It's just getting worse and worse. Just now, they will just blatantly cuss. And it's going to be okay. That is where we're heading to. That is exactly where we're heading to. They're going to start cussing outright on the air, like how the rappers and them do it, and it'll be normal. Because we never stopped it when it was supposed to be stopped in the first place. All right? So that is my view on it, and I don't know what your views are. Let's take a short break, come back. We're going to continue right here on the program on Cloud.Nine, live at 5.
This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN, The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever.
All right, welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACT and The Voice. So several issues. Again, you can also go onto our Facebook page and comment on some of the issues that we raised here today on Cloud.Nine. What I want to show to you this time is just a few minutes of the last time we went to cover some floods. As a matter of fact, some of these people were affected again by the flooding. And as I said before, some of the cases that we met with, they were very genuine. That's why I want to show it again. And there are others who I said you need to kind of rethink some decisions that you're making in terms of probably where you live. If you know you're guilty of dumping, refuge, whatever it may be, you know what, you got to check yourself. You got to check your heart and check your soul and say, you know what, I need to really understand that I too am contributing to this cycle of mess that's taking place in my beloved Trinidad and Tobago. Stop blaming everyone from Dr. Rowley, and when Mrs. Pasabi Sessa was there, he wanted to blame her, and then before he wanted to blame Robinson, and before he wanted to blame Chambers, and Eric Williams, and the Pope, and the Queen, and take it on, right? We really have to come to a place in 2018 whereby we start taking responsibility for our own actions as well. I mean, once we start doing that, trust me, we're going to start seeing things changing. I'm not saying that the powers that be have their part to play, but I've always said it, and nobody could say otherwise where I'm concerned. I've always said it, that we all have a part to play in keeping Trinidad and Tobago in or hope to that place it once was of pristine beauty. And I'm speaking from beauty from the inside out. So you got to know what you're putting in the soil, people. And this is a time, I think 2018, a time of reflection for us to start making some serious changes. We'll deal with the crime issue probably tomorrow, in detail tomorrow, God's willing. So let's go now to these areas in Woodland. And again, if there's anyone of these families that may have been affected, again, give us a call and see how best we can assist. Let's go to it now. Over the last week or so, this area that we're driving through, Rahmat Trace in the Woodland area, the only way you could have accessed this area was either by a boat or sitting in a tree like we are doing right now. That is how bad it was. It was literally like looking and staring at the ocean. It was just water for miles upon miles upon miles. And you're looking at it now, the situation, and people are grappling with with what has happened over the last week. They're still trying to come to terms with the terrible flooding. It has been like a sea of pain and a sea of hurt and a sea of anguish and everything negative when they look at just water upon water, just taking away everything that they owned. We are doing our part here in collaboration with the Maritime Financial Group to bring some relief, to those who were badly affected by the terrible rainfall and, of course, the subsequent flooding that took place over the last week. So this is just one area, and coming up next, you're going to hear from several families who are in recovery mode in relation to the flooding. Which house do you live in, sir? So as you can see, all of his appliances are outside. What's your name, sir?
Kamal Hussein.
All right. How have things been? How have you been recovering over the last week?
It was very bad with the flood and so on, but we had we wasn't getting plenty visit from the government and so on. We're getting plenty help from the people, the volunteers now. And
so I'm looking here like you lost a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah,
you lost
water, yeah. That water all here about 3 feet inside my house, and I thought about 2 feet outside here because my inside the house lower. Yeah, all these
beds, everything. This is the fridge. Wow, and this fridge, that's not an old fridge.
No, it's new, fairly new, yeah. All that's gone. I have a washing machine there, I have TV stand, everything. Lot of things. Yeah. My living room set and all, because we wasn't expecting water to rise so fast from the last time. And when we get up in the morning, everything is in water. Yeah. Yeah, come here.
So what are some of the in terms of getting back on your feet? What are some of the things that you need right now?
Well, what happened? We waiting. Well, to have people passing with food and a little basic supply to clean up and cleaning and so on. But we just waiting help from the regional corporation now to come and see what the damages are.
So I guess you have to put everything outside so they know exactly what was damaged, so they can assess properly.
Yeah.
All right, understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll get you back to what you have to do. Until then, you have to. I know it's been a week of ordeal. How are you doing, sir? How have you been recovering? How has the recovery been over the last week?
Well, we're trying to recover as much as possible. With the help of the Lord,
All things are possible.
Really.
Thank you, man.
I live in the back there.
Oh, you live there? Oh, you live there?
Yeah.
All right. And how bad was it for you, though?
It's devastated. I sickly now. I suffered a sleepless. Plus lately I had complication of breathing and so on, I think, with the pollution of the...
So you can't, so is that you cannot stay there right now?
So where are you staying? I did with my brother here. We sleep a couple of days.
My brother here?
Yeah, we sleep a couple days fast gone by with the flood, with the sleep on the back of the van. And my brother sleep inside the van. Yeah. And only last night, because how we them girl near view and then clean up inside. And so we get a good rest last night. We put the mattresses on and...
Oh, I'm glad to know that, because you could have been washed away there. All right, a pleasant good morning. We are here with one of the residents that have been affected by the terrible flooding that took place over the last few days, not just in the Woodland area or the San Francisco area, but throughout Trinidad and Tobago. But South, as you know, was badly affected. Can you please tell us your name, please?
Sita Budu.
All right. Ms. Budu, tell us, walk us through the events that took place from Wednesday last when we had all this terrible rainfall, and what exactly happened to your home.
Well, basically, the rain started normal, and then the breeze started. And, well, it's just me and my kids and husband was inside, and the breeze really started, and our wall just collapsed. So our first thing was to just secure the kids first. And the entire downstairs was flooded. The beds, everything was wet. My kids lost a lot of stuff, but at least everybody's safe. No one actually came to us, you know. They were more focused on down the road area. So basically, it's just, I would say San Francisco is the only person that's actually helping me right now. So I lost a lot of stuff. My house is totally damaged. We try to fix up like 2 rooms where I reside right now with my husband and 4 kids. And it's hard, but at least everybody's safe. So that's the positive thing about it.
Your children attend the school?
Actually, my daughter is in standard 5 here. I have 3 others.
So now I was speaking to Mr. Sami, the chairman of the corporation, and you know he defended and he really sympathized with yourself like others who are living along the riverbank, stating that those who have been making negative statements about it, but was making the point that many people are forced to live in these areas because, again, they don't have access to land to buy or to housing or nothing like that. So in many times it's a case whereby, what choice do I have? Looking at everything now, if you had the opportunity, or if you have rather the opportunity to leave and go elsewhere, would you?
No, but that's the thing. Where I live, it's a colony development, so it's in a development, and people just think that, you know, we just living on the riverbank. We're not exactly on the riverbank because that land was developed for colony workers. My husband is a former colony worker, but we applied there through land settlement, and we're actually waiting for the certificate of comfort right now. We went to get approval to start building and everything, and basically what they're telling us, the colony workers get permission to start building. We didn't get permission, but I fall in the development, you know. So I mean, at least someone could at least come and see what's going on. Forget about me and my husband, but I have 4 kids, you know. And I mean, my kids with school right now, my 2 boys home an entire week. Today's the first day after this entire thing happened that I brought my daughter to school and she's in standard 5.
Now, you see why it's important to see things through the eyes of those who are going through the suffering, and sometimes not through our own eyes, because we can actually self-inflict blindness upon ourselves when we do things like that, because now you're hearing, and this is why Mr. Sami made that point. Apart from those who are forced onto, it has some circumstances where you don't even know what's going on, as she would have indicated today. And, you know, so therefore maybe something within the development needs to be looked at. And that's a bigger issue by itself. So what are some of the kind of help you would need right now in terms of getting back on your feet? I know you mentioned some, but what else would you need?
Well, basically what happened is that they actually put lines to get electricity. Now, my kids, I do a little vegetable business out on the main road. My husband is a driver for SM Jalil. Now, I still get up and try to do something because we do gardening also. I have a 3-year-old. I cannot go and work outside with him, so I decided to do that. We purchased a generator. We purchased a water pump. Everything just went. Everything spoiled with the flood. I actually took the generator to see if we could get it fixed. What they said, the amount of water went into that, and I paid $15,000 for it. And went to TNTech to see if I could get current, and they given me a sort of run around.
What's the issue with electricity though? What's the kickback? Since it's a developed land, what is the issue with electricity? Why has that been taking so long?
Well, basically, I spoke to one of the guys in TNTech, and they were just supposed to come and survey the house and stuff to see if they could wire the house. Now, seeing that all this damage happened with the house, we would not be able to get electricity in the house because the entire house, it's damaged. The portion that I live in right now, which is 2 rooms, I'm sharing with my husband and 4 kids. I don't know if they're going to approve it or what they're going to do. I'm not so much concerned with the electricity. Mostly we needed pipe-on water, which I don't get. We tote water with a van. Sometimes I put containers in my car and I tote water to carry home for my kids. But I would say mostly I need a little assistance in rebuilding back the house. I mean, I'm not looking for appliances and all them things. That's just material thing. I just want somewhere for my kids to be comfortable. Yeah. Basically,
it was a wooden structure?
It was. Yeah, wooden structure. We wanted to start to do concrete and stuff, but basically when we went to Caroni, they said we have to wait because we don't fall under with the Carney workers, we fall under land settlement.
And that's the thing, and the LSA, I mean, I don't know what arrangements are being made at this time, but if these lands are being provided for citizens, and therefore the basic amenities must be put in place in providing, ensuring when you're placing people there, you don't place them in a vacuum. And I was saying yesterday to someone, where you get sucked in literally by the elements. Right, so I would say to the officials at the LSA, the various ministries, where these lands have been provided, ensure that the basic amenities are there to ensure that when these things happen, this level of discomfort, So I want to thank you very much. What we're going to do is we'll be collaborating with Maritime to lend some assistance whatever we can, and we're going to, of course, highlight what's happening with you and many others, what assistance we can get on to you. All right?
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
So on behalf of the Maritime Financial Group and more so the South Regional Center, we know this cannot bring back your home, but we hope that this little token could at least help you as it relates to your cleaning, as it relates to your probably tonight's meal. But we really, we empathize with you, and we want to tell you that whatever we could do again to help you, please feel free to reach out to us. Yeah? So this is yours. No problem. It's a little bit heavy, so probably you could probably hold on to this one. We have some other things to do in and around the area, so we hope that this could, go on.
All right, so we're here with the Assistant Regional Manager of Maritime, Mr. Bash, and I want to thank Maritime once again for joining ACT and The Voice on this. This is the second time in just a few months that we have been literally threading through waters, as they say, to assist those in need. I want to thank, first of all, what was Maritime's first response when you saw what's been happening over the last few days? Because, I mean, this is something I know that's very synonymous with the vision of Maritime. It's not the first time. All right, just a little snippet there of what's been happening in the Woodland area. As I understand, some of these same families would have been affected. I just want to leave you with these numbers before we close off the show this evening. These are some of the hotline numbers. You may or may not have access to them, and I'm going to run them through pretty quickly and get take it on as best as you can on your phone or piece of paper, as the case may be. Right? So if you need assistance, depending on where you are, I know, of course, in the East Coast area with the landslides, they will need a lot of assistance. The San Juan Laboratory Corporation, they've been quite busy over the past few days. So the hotline numbers are as follows. Again, I'm just running through one by one, right? The Digger Martin Regional Corporation, 800-3672. The San Juan Lamental Regional Corporation, 800-7572. The Arima Borough Corporation, 800-2222. The Tunapuna Piaco Regional Corporation, 800. Now, they all start off with 800. That makes it easy, right? Tunapuna is, I'll just read the last four. So just keep in mind, all of them, they start off with 800, right? So we go to Tunapuna Piaco, 8272. Paula Spain City Corporation, 7722. The Sandy Grande Regional Corporation, 7472. The Chagonas Borough Corporation, 3222. The Cuva Tabakit Talparo Regional Corporation, 2882. Mayaro, that's 4672. We have Princestown, 7872. We have Point Fortin, 7322. We have San Fernando, 7238. Pinal Debe, 7372. And Superior or Superior, potato, however we choose to pronounce it, 4772. All right? So those are the various corporations whereby you can get assistance if you've been affected in any way by the flooding over the last week or so of heavy rainfall. And again, use this time, please, to do some retrospection on some of the decisions that we make, the things that we say in front of our children, and that's another thing. Again, it's been business as usual in Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to some of these songs that we hear. And it's not just about the calypso or in chutney soca, even in terms of international songs that we hear on our airwaves, from the hip-hop to the pop music, and it goes on and on. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying anything. But because it mashed somebody corn in the government of the day, or it mashed somebody corn in tat, or mashed somebody corn where, it's suddenly a big issue. And I think it's a long time. Let's be real, right? What are we feeding our nation? What are we putting in the soil? What are we sowing? What are we reaping? What are we eating? We're eating poisonous fruit. So everything that we're seeing happening, from the crime to the flooding to the filth in music, everything is a result of what's already inside of us from what we're eating. And until we get that and stop passing blame on this one and that one, it's just gonna get worse. I said we're gonna come like the US of A, where it could go to like a rap concert here, cuss normal, and it's no big deal. It's gonna come the same way in Trinidad just now, with our art form, if we do not take a stand at our own selves. And that's the bottom line. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do to change it with my thoughts and my actions? It's the only way it's gonna change. Right? So let's be real, let's be honest with ourselves, right, where that is concerned. So I want to thank you very much. Now remember, as I said, from tomorrow, God's willing, we are going to go straight to the news update. We had some things to work on today, but thank God it did. So tomorrow, please God, we're going to go straight to the news update at 5. So from the opening billboard, we're going to go straight to the news at 5, right? And then after that, we continue with the rest of the program. Tomorrow, God's willing, we're going to continue talking about crime on a deeper level. So we touched on that. You are still welcome to go to our Facebook page and our Twitter account, and you can leave your comments there as well. Leave, of course, open for you to call tomorrow as well to give your views on today's topic, as well as on the crime issue facing Trinidad and Tobago. As I said in the beginning of our news update, there are 7 murders thus far for the year, and we are only in day 2. 5 was on the first day, 2 today. Still waiting for confirmation on number 7. I was looking to see if there was any confirmation, but I have not seen anything as yet. So I guess you'll get by 7 o'clock this evening, I'm sure. Let me just check one more time. I have my sources here. Good friend of mine normally puts those things though. So there's nothing from what I'm seeing here confirming the identity of the man whose throat was slit. This is in Chin Chin, Las Lomas area, but that's murder number 7. All right. So be safe, you and your loved ones. This has been Cloud9 live at 5. God bless you. Take care.